And Ms. Simon was here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Cuyahoga County special meeting for Thursday, November 17th, 2001. Could you please call the roll?
Calling the roll, Mr. Jones.
Here.
Mr. Rogers.
Here.
Ms. Simon. Mr. Greenspan.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
Mr. Brady.
Present.
Mr. Germana.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Schron. Ms. Conwell.
Present.
Ms. Conley.
Here.
Quorum.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For a moment of silence tonight, I'd like to recognize the passing of Judge George White of the United States District Court. Judge White was a Cleveland City Councilman, a common pleas court judge, and was appointed to the United States District Court, where he ultimately became the presiding judge. He has a daughter who is a U.S. attorney and a son who lives in New Orleans, and just like to offer our condolences on behalf of all the residents of Cuyahoga County for a very dedicated public service. Has anyone signed in for public comment?
No, Madam Chair, no one has signed in.
All right, the minutes for the meeting of November 9th, 2011 are in your packet. If everyone has had an opportunity to review those minutes, I would entertain a motion to approve them as circulated.
Motion to adopt.
Motion by Mr. Greenspan, second by Ms. Conwell. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The minutes are approved. That's not Mr. Fitzgerald.
No report on behalf of
All right, in your packet, there are the contracts have been executed by the county executive, and those went through the Board of Controls. All right, item A, consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rules, Rules 12A and 9D, or is it 9A and 12D?
9D and 12A, you are correct.
All right, Ms. Simon?
Second.
I move by Ms. Simon, seconded by Mr. Gallagher for suspension of the rules. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The rules are suspended. Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2011-0325, a resolution rescinding resolution number 2011-0298 dated November 9th, 2011, which approved the determination to proceed with submitting to the electors of Cuyahoga County to renew an existing 4.8 mil health and human services levy for the purpose of supplementing general fund appropriations for health and human or social services for a period of 4 years outside the 10 mil limitation in accordance with the provisions of Section 5705.191 of the Ohio Revised Code, and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
Is there a motion?
Move to adopt. Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Rogers. Madam Clerk, would you give an explanation for the public as to why we are rescinding, or did the law director want to do it? Yes, Mr. McClure.
Thank you, Madam President and members of council. Very quickly, what happened is when the Board of Elections sent the resolution to the state for approval.
So we maybe start premise so that people
sure.
understand that we passed this resolution in our last formal meeting to place the levy on the ballot. And then we signed it, I signed it, the executive signed it, and we went to process it. The clerk took it to the Board of Elections for processing, and they're in where we start our story.
Exactly. And what happened is the part of what happens is a certification from the fiscal officer. And the date of the certification from the fiscal officer was November 10th, but the resolution was passed on the 9th. So the state approved the resolution as to form, but questioned the dating, that the date of the certification was after the date of the resolution. The quickest thing, instead of having to argue about it, is to very quickly rescind the resolution and just adopt a new resolution. What we did is the new resolution, we specifically mentioned the receipt of the fiscal officer certification and the date of it. It's included in the agenda. We did that in section 1. The other thing is we still don't have a resolution from Columbus as to whether they will move the March 6th primary or not. The statute specifically mandates that the resolution state the date of the election. So we do state the date of the election, March 6th. We didn't change that, but we added a quick section that in the event that the Ohio legislature reschedules the March 6, 2012 primary election, the tax renewal levy shall be submitted to the electors on the rescheduled primary election date. My understanding is this is what the Board of Elections does anyhow, but we went ahead and protected it so that it's in the resolution. There's no question about it.
All right, does anyone have any questions of the law director? All right, if there is no other unreadiness, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 0326.
Resolution number 2011-0326, a resolution determining to proceed with submitting to the electors of Cuyahoga County to renew an existing 4.8 mil health and human services levy for the purpose of supplementing general fund appropriations for health and human or social services for a period of 4 years outside the 10 mil limitation in accordance with the provisions of Section 5705.191 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring the necessity that this resolution become immediately effective.
So this is our substitute resolution. Is there a motion to adopt?
Move to adopt. Second.
Moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Mr. Jones. Is there any discussion on this? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Item 9, consideration of a resolution for first reading adoption under suspension of the rule in executive session. Is Rule 9D and 12D and 9A. Is there, Ms. Simon, is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Madam President, I move we suspend the rules.
Second.
All right, moved by Ms. Simon and seconded by Mr. Miller to suspend the rules. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the ayes have it. We will suspend the rules. Now, there is a need for a motion to go into executive session.
Yes.
All right, Mr. Gallagher.
I move council go into executive session for purposes of collective bargaining.
Second.
All right, moved by Mr. Gallagher and seconded by Ms. Conwell that we go into executive session. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? All right, just, we will go into executive session. Just for the record, to explain to the public, pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 122.11, the so-called Sunshine Law, council will go into executive session. By going into executive session pursuant to law, the council, as any other public body, is exempt from the public meetings requirements of the law because of the nature of the matters discussed. This means that council will confer outside the hearing of the public. These executive sessions are specifically provided for in the law so that public bodies such as this council can confer with their lawyers or deal with personnel matters. In this case, council has to deal with a matter involving a labor relations. We have to end collective bargaining. Council will be advised by the lawyers as to the status of this matter. No decisions regarding the final disposition of these matters will be made during these sessions. It will be informational only. Minutes will be prepared relative to the number of matters discussed and to the duration of the meeting. You as a public have elected us as members of council and have entrusted us with a grave responsibility. Each of us takes this responsibility very seriously. And to this end, that is to ensure that the public is well served. You certainly would not want the public to hear matters regarding your private legal affairs. So we're going to go into executive sessions. It should take about 30 minutes, and we will come out. And once again, there will be no decision made during the executive session. It's only for the purpose of discussing, conferring with our lawyers as a result of a fact-finding matter.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and then at the conclusion of the executive session, we're going to consider Resolution 211-0327?
That's correct.
Okay.
And we have to, and Mr. McClure, if you wanted to add
No, I
anything.
just wanted to clarify that,
Okay.
that at least from the law department's end, of course, we'll answer any questions. We expect it to be very quick, so it may be less than 30 minutes. Just didn't want somebody to go and come back 30 minutes late. That's
Yeah, and there is a fact-finding report that is available. It's been published as an addition. It's a public document, and it has been attached to the agenda, and it's been posted on the website.
Madam President?
So we will,
Just a point of order, I'm not sure we don't need a regular roll call to go into executive session.
Oh, absolutely.
We do.
We need a roll call.
okay, all right, let's call the roll.
Calling the roll to go into executive session. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
Mr. Rogers? Ms. Simon? Mr. Greenspan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Brady?
Yes.
Mr. Germana?
Yes.
Mr. Gallagher? Mr. Schron is absent at this time. Ms. Conwell?
Yes.
Ms. Conley?
Yes.
Okay, the ayes have it.
All right, we will go, the ayes have it, we'll go into executive session. If you will clear the chambers, we will be less than half an hour, 20 minutes, something like that.